Good journey, everyone. Welcome to Space Oats, a Star Wars podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay, and we're going to have a lot to talk about with Star Wars tonight. It's been actually a really great day, really great week. Ben, joining in early. Thank you very much for joining in. Get to some of your guys' comments a little bit later because I did post last week. I know we're going to talk a lot about video games tonight because of something that happened today in Star Wars history. So we're going to get to that, which a lot of you posted a lot of comments on some of your favorite Star Wars games in that have been come out before, and some of the ones that maybe are due out that you're looking forward to. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I really want to start off with basically my day today. I went to Hollywood Studios today. I went to Galaxy's Edge today, and it was one of those days where I really didn't do much in the park at all. Like, didn't do much at Galaxy's Edge at all in Batu. I kind of dressed up a little bit, not kind of low key, but you know, didn't have anything like Star Wars printed on me at all. Tried to stay kind of in character. I had kind of a pouch with me with my OG Kawaki monkey lizard, which I had in there for a time, and then I had him on my shoulder for a little bit as well. But I wanted to do the bounty hunter missions, and basically I did a lot of that today. I actually went through it again, got all 20 bounties. But my main reason is because I got the Beskar Roosevelts. I actually have had this for about a month now, and I hadn't worn it yet. So I did change into this a little bit later when I was at studios and walked around a little bit later at night with this one. But yeah, it's the first time I've put this on and broken this out from Roosevelt's. Love their shirts. This is my second one. I would probably have more if I could afford it, but I can't. Yeah, so I love this shirt. This is really cool. This is my Return of the Jedi one. Definitely wear these all the time. We're going to be wearing this one all the time as well. But speaking of Star Wars license and people that make and create awesome Star Wars stuff, if you're someone that goes to Galaxy's Edge, either on the West Coast or East Coast, whichever one, and you like to do the bounty hunter missions, one of the coolest things, and it just kind of brought out this extra fun to it today, because PropRight, PropWright, has these tracking fob Magic Band Plus devices, which are really cool. I don't know the name of the person. It's PropRight is who I got it from, actually. So I found out about these because I met a really cool dude a couple weeks back going to Galaxy's Edge for Life Day. It was his name is Freak John. He's from New York. At least that's his Instagram handle, Freak John. And he's a Star Wars fan, and we were both doing bounty hunter missions, and he was walking around with this, and I basically just said, "Hey, cool, I like your tracking fob," and he told me, who it was from, and it's really well made. This like legit like cable, and it's kind of like nice and heavy. But it's really easy. You can get it with or without the clip. I actually chose to get it with the clip, the belt clip. Yeah, it's really easy to, it has a nice little bolt here that, unscrews, and then you can slide it out and pop your Magic Band Plus in, and then screw it up, and it works great. I love it. I got a lot of comments for it today, people stopping me, and I saw somebody else with a tracking fob as well, but I didn't get a chance to run over and ask him if it was the same one and compare. But I love this one, PropRight. They're sold out currently, but yeah, I'm sure if you email them or whatever, or get in contact, you might be able to get some. Oh, okay, it's Scott. Okay, so yeah, I don't know Scott, but Scott is. I mean, maybe I've met him. I think he's been on the Star Cruiser, but because I was kind of looking at him a little bit, and I feel I'm gonna like kind of email him and let him know, do a review, because these are amazing. I got a lot of comments today. I'm gonna put a link in my my bio, and I'm gonna do a post as well with a link to him, because these are awesome. And yeah, so this is like the first like cool thing that I've really bought. You got the last two in stock last week? Okay. Yeah, I literally just bought this like 2 weeks ago. So I must have got like the third to last that was there. But yeah, it was so much fun to do this. And I wish Disney would come out with some more Magic Band Plus with like, I know they have the Imperial logo one and then the fulcrum for the Ahsoka one. The rest of them say Star Wars on them. But I wish they would come out with like a couple other ones, maybe with like the Mudhorn symbol or something else with like bounty hunters, so that we can like put them in here and have some fun with these with different fobs. So that's on Disney to make some Magic Band Plus. Who knows? Disney will probably come out with something if they see more of these come out, and then it'll be like $50 for one of these things. But but it was really cool. Yeah, the plain red one. Yeah, the plain red one. I mean, the usually the plain ones had like the Mickey emblem. So I wanted to go like something more Star Wars, but so I had the fulcrum one from the Ahsoka, and yeah, so it was fun though, and I got a lot of cool people come up to me and basically just say how awesome it looked, just walking around with this thing, getting my bounties today. So that was a lot of fun. With the Kawaki Monkey Lizard and me constantly, like I had that in my pouch, kind of like how if you've ever seen anybody at Disney or people walking around with droids and so forth, they usually have a pouch and they kind of have the controls hidden. I was doing that with my Monkey Lizard and kind of had my hand in there, and people didn't even really realize that it was like moving, and then they were just like, whoa, shocked. So I kind of felt like I was being part of the story today, and it was just seeing the kids' faces like light up when you're walking around and they like look at you and they're like all pointing and they're like, whoa, look at that. And I had, within 5 minutes of me walking into Galaxy's Edge, I had people coming up to me asking for directions. So it's so much fun to go there and actually feel like you're part of the story. And if I could just do that every day and get paid for it, I'd love it. But it was great fun today to be able to do that. I went to Oga's. I'm sitting there at the bar, and I had my Monkey Lizard on my shoulder, and I'm having drinks and I'm making a move around, and people were just like, I could see people across the bar just like pointing and like nudging their friends, like, oh, look at that. So it felt like I was just like part of the story, which is so much fun to do. And if I could do that every day, it would be amazing. But yeah, so I just wanted to like talk about that, because it's so much fun to go to Galaxy's Edge and just have some fun playing in story. I didn't even ride any rides. Like I said, I went and got some Ronto wraps and then went to Oga's, and basically for the rest of the day I just walked around and did bounty hunts and missions and scans and all sorts of fun stuff, and just chit chatted with people and stayed in character. People were asking me where I got the Monkey Lizard, and I basically played it off as far as a story, and it was so much fun to do that, and people like got a kick out of it. So I felt like I was back being like a crew member on the Star Cruiser, playing in story, and just having just getting people in their imagination, young and old, when they were there today, and something that sometimes you don't see even the cast members do. So and I wasn't working today, and it was just fun to be able to do that. So yeah, I if I could do that more often, it would be great. But so I just wanted to like talk about that. But yeah, Prop Right, I'm going to put a link in this description, so look for that, and then also I'll probably post about it on Instagram as well at some point, either today or tomorrow, with a little post with that fob in there as well. But going back to like games, because I did say we were going to talk about games, let's talk about something that happened today in Star Wars history, because I like to do that. I usually do that on my Instagram page. I'll post something today in Star Wars history. My Instagram page is the Crucial Crew Member, same as this channel here. Yeah, so December 5th, 2002, a game released by LucasArts, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, was released today in Star Wars history. So don't know if you've ever played Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I played it very briefly. I never had... I had a PlayStation 2, but I never got the game for it. But I had a friend that had GameCube as well. It came out for GameCube and PlayStation 2. And I think it was like re-released for a limited run for like to be available for PlayStation 4, I think, at some point. But it's from what I played, it was a fun game to play. I just never got around to like getting the game for PlayStation 2, or Again, not that big of a gamer, but it is a really cool first person action game, basically based on Jango Fett. It was kind of in story, kind of leading up to Attack of the Clones, which was cool to kind of have that. Also, Jango Fett Open Seasons, the comic book, all those things were tied together with kind of like a prequel aspect for Attack of the Clones. Tamora Morrison actually reprised his role with the voice of Jango Fett. What's her name? Shoot. The voice of Leanna Walsman. Leanna Walsman reprised her role as the voice of Zam Wessel. So Zam actually had a really cool part in the story. Kind of getting there from the halfway point to the end of the game, and it led right up to basically Jango Fett being recruited by Darth Tyrannus on the moons of Bogdan, which is mentioned in Attack of the Clones. And it kind of also explains why, a little bit of why Jango wanted an unaltered clone, being Boba Fett, created for him when he was recruited as the base for the clone army, with one of his friends, basically kind of on their deathbed, saying to find something else, meaningful in life rather than just bounty hunting. So really kind of weird side story of why he did that, but kind of interesting to kind of see how it all led up to that. They were actually, when they were making the game, they were given a lot of what the script before anybody else, knew about the movie, to kind of help them with kind of gearing the game towards being like a prequel to the movie, which is really cool to be able to have that and make it that connected, which I didn't really realize it was that connected. I don't know why I got a battery notification when I have like everything plugged in, but it was really cool to have that kind of tie and connection, and know about that. I didn't know it was that tied into Attack of the Clones at the time. It's probably not really canon anymore. I mean, there really hasn't been much produced between story wise between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones that I would think would negate anything from the game. So it could probably work still within the storyline. But yeah. So like I said, didn't really play much of it, so I can't really say that it was a game that made an impact on me as far as like one of my favorite games. But I did throw out like last week, some photos of some games that have been really popular in the past and are popular now, and some of which have not even come out yet that everybody's kind of looking forward to. And I threw out there, if anybody had any favorite games, Star Wars games. I'm just going to go through some of the posts that I had. I know that let's see, most of them came through on Facebook, by the way. If you follow me on Facebook, but Kai Wright, he's actually been jumped in a couple times here on the live stream. His definitely is Jedi Survivor No Contest. I have not yet played that. Again, I don't really have a system to play it on as of now, but possibly before the end of the year, I think I might actually break down and get a something, most likely like a Nintendo Switch or something like that. But we'll see how that plays out, and that might happen for me at some point. So and then most sentimental, he said, goes to Shadows of the Empire, which again, that was another game that I played a little bit of, and I know a lot of people have a lot of love for that, and the story is amazing. I read the book and I love the whole story of Shadows of the Empire. So he said his memory of it is so much better than the reality of it now. But honestly, like, I love the story of Shadows of the Empire. If we could get some sort of play off of that storyline and some of the characters that were in Shadows of the Empire, I'd be completely happy, because I love the story of Shadows of the Empire. I didn't play the game as much, but I did read the book, and I think I still have the book possibly, but I love Shadows of the Empire. So I am all for that. I thought it was a great story. I can't wait to play Jedi Survivor at some point, because I hear just great things about it. I actually hear people say that Fallen Order is still their favorite, which when we get to my favorite games of all time, we'll talk about that in a minute. Blake, former former crew member on the Halcyon. He said that he's currently playing the Skywalker Saga. I think it's the Lego Skywalker Saga, if I'm not mistaken, and he likes it so far. I've heard a lot of good things about the Lego Skywalker Saga. I actually have the original trilogy Lego for Nintendo Wii, or had it and still have it. And I loved that. That's going to be one of the ones on my list. I thought that was so much fun. The Lego games are great to play and so much fun. Everything Lego Star Wars is a lot of fun. So Ben, you commented playing Force Unleashed. You love that because it was one of the first games that made you feel like Force sensitive character in Star Wars. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Fallen Order, Force Unleashed definitely holds a place for me as well. I remember, I think that was actually one of the reasons why I bought a Wii was the Force Unleashed, and I remember basically playing that pretty much for a week straight, and just going through that game so fast because it was amazing. And then I basically played it again right after because it was so much fun, and just the movement of the Wii, that whole system, and actually every time you like pushed, you were pushing and pulling, and just it made you feel like you were actually a Force sensitive character. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I loved that game. So yeah, that definitely. And then also you had mentioned Fallen Order, making you feel more connected to a story. And Survivor has so far been the pinnacle of all that, and your new favorite. Okay, all right. So you like Survivor better than Fallen Order. Okay, cool. I like that. Makes me want to play Survivor even more. But Fallen Order, yeah, definitely the story of Fallen Order was outstanding, and very excited for the release of Outlaws. Yes, Outlaws was one of the ones that I posted that we are looking forward to. It looks so cool, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to that. Ren follows a lot on my posts, on Facebook at least, saying Star Wars The Old Republic for her, and basically still the best for even after 15 years. The only problem is they need to make it fully controller supported. So yeah, the Old Republic, loved those games as well. They're great games. So yeah, a lot of people's favorites. A lot of people don't know a lot about those storylines of those, and but those characters are amazing, and I hope that we see some of those characters somehow get thrown into some of these older stories that maybe start to be told with the High Republic, or even before the High Republic. If we get anything before that, it would be nice to be able to see some of those stories being told. Amy actually throwing in basically not playing many games. The most being played are the VR Vader Immortal, which I've only played a little bit of Vader Immortal. I don't have a VR gaming system, but Vader Immortal is outstanding. Tales from Galaxy's Edge, yes, that is again another amazing VR story, which if I had a VR, I probably would get sucked in all the time and be playing that, because they are, from what I've done and tested with them, they were so much fun to play. Yes, and they're one of the reasons, and is because Tales from Galaxy's Edge, obviously you get to go to Batu and see Batu in VR, which is really cool. Especially for someone, if you don't go there all the time, you could just revisit it at any time and just be there. So Rogue Squadrons, I have actually not played Rogue Squadrons. So that's one that and then Mark kind of commented off of that post, basically recommending Squadrons. And basically saying your brain has to be wired in a weird way for space flight combat. So yeah, so I used to, we'll talk about some of the other favorites of mine in the past that had to do with space flight combat. So if it has anything to do with those, which I think it does, I think I'd like that. Also Amy kind of said, kind of a side point, basically, is there a recommended order to play them? I don't think there is a recommended order to playing any of the games. I think, now we, just as we get the movies just and the shows kind of thrown in different time frames, I think you can just jump in. I think if you're going back and you're playing, or if you're playing anything in a series, yes. So like, obviously, if you are starting on the Jedi series, you're going to play Fallen Order first and then Survivor. If you're playing If you're going back and you're playing the Kyle Katarn series, you obviously want to do those in order with, Dark Forces, and then Jedi Knight, and, Jedi Outcast Academy, and so forth, and kind of play them in order. But I don't really think a lot of them you need to play in order. You can just kind of, story wise, you could just jump from here to there to everywhere and kind of just go through those whenever and wherever. Mark Roma, a lot of games not on the list. Yeah, I know I didn't put a lot of up there, obviously, because there's so many Star Wars games. Jedi Knight, the sequel to Dark Forces. I just mentioned that one. Dark Forces, basically Jedi Knight story. Kyle Katarn, yeah, those were some of my favorites. First immersive gameplay with a lightsaber, right? And yeah, it was so amazing. Basically the music changing, which I almost don't even remember that. So, but it was our lightsaber training pod feeling back in the 90s, right? Yeah. So, the order does not matter. Does not matter. David Schweitz, basically popping in here. One of his favorites being Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah, so Knights of the Old Republic, really fantastic. Fallen Order Survivor, fantastic as well. Everybody's given the nods to Fallen Order Survivor. I really gotta figure out a way to play Survivor. And then John, actually a former crew member of the Star Cruiser as well, saying that the best game was Battlefront 2 for PS2. And he spent every hour playing it, and still has it and plays it regularly. So yeah, I love that. So I love it when, like, the games that we still have, we still play every now and then. I still pull out some of the classics. I love throwing up the emulators and playing some of those classic games every now and then. I just recently played Outcast, which is in the Kyle Katarn series, and started playing that again. So, I love going back and playing through those games. For me, I would say for my top five, as I was thinking about this, it changed, because I kept thinking of different games. But I would say, as of right now, my top five are, one, Fallen Order, because that's the most recent, the most creative story, Star Wars wise for gaming that I think has been made yet that I've played. So I loved that game, Fallen Order. So that is my number one right now. Number two, I would have to go back to The Force Unleashed, kind of like what Ben had said. It was the first time that we actually kind of felt Force sensitive. And I still have that as a place. I still have that game. The Force Unleashed was just amazing, great story. The second one was good, but the first one was by far, it just has a place for me, and I still love that game. Number three for me would be Dark Forces Jedi Knight. Which was mentioned as well. So that Kyle Katarn, the first time we actually ever got to really dive into Force. Force abilities, and get to play and use a lot of those Force abilities. That was just so much fun to be able to play that. And then before that, and then after that, I would say the Lego Star Wars trilogy, just because it was so much fun to be able to play that, and relive the original trilogy in Lego format and play those stories. And that was just so much fun. And then I'm also gonna go back as my number five as the first Star Wars game that I ever got, which was for the original Nintendo operating system, which I don't have it right here, but I do still have it. I can't play it because I don't have an original Nintendo, but it's the original Star Wars game for Nintendo, the 8-bit Star Wars Nintendo game. Released through JVC, but I still have that. I still have it with the box and everything. And so that just takes me back, because I just remember that game. It was like the first Star Wars game I could play at home, which was really awesome. Those are my top five. Don't know. I know there's a lot out there that, probably I would change, because I had some other ones on there and I dropped some off to move some other ones in. But those are the top five for me. And maybe some of those are on your list. Maybe some you didn't even think about or know about. and might want to revisit those. But yeah, I think I mentioned last week that the Wii actually has some of those amazing games that you can play on the Switch. They have like a best of pack, and I think it was about 9 games. Force Unleashed being one of them on there. Two of the Jedi Knight games, Outcast and Academy. Star Wars Racer, the podcast game. Um, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 are on there. So a lot of those games are on there, and Republic Commandos, which is a really cool one because that was on my list, and then I bumped it off. That first person game with Delta Squad, which is a lot of fun. So those like 9 games are all on that Switch pack that you can get, and you can play on Nintendo Switch. So yeah, if you're a big fan of all those classic games and want to like revisit those with easier gameplay, that's one of the reasons probably why I'm going to get the Switch, because it might be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, Ben, I definitely agree. Trying some of those Lego games. Skywalker Saga I hear is really amazing. So I had a couple people tell me how amazing that one is. So that might be something that I get as well once I get a gaming platform to be able to play those. So, but yeah, that's a little bit of Star Wars gaming history, especially with Bounty Hunters getting released today in Star Wars history. So if you've never played that one, I don't know if there's any emulators out there or any way to play that now, but I'm sure there's something out there. There's always a way. You can always find a way. But but that is a little bit of Star Wars history today. Couple other things. We got actually a lot of other things. There was a lot of announcements released this week. I'm gonna actually switch some things up here real quick. Try to do some stuff here. I was gonna actually, I meant to throw up the oh, my camera got like bumped around a little bit there. I think that was when I got up for a minute before I started the stream. But anyway, yeah, let me just close that. I was gonna like throw up. Oh, speaking of gaming as well, let me actually throw this up here. If you play anybody play any app games, like games on the like on your phone or anything? I only play one. I played it and then I stopped playing it. I've played it and I got back into it. And it's a lot of fun. Like I'll play it like when I'm just like laying in bed or something like that, or sitting in my car and I'm not doing anything. But if you play Galaxy of Heroes, they just announced this, I think today. Keller and Beck is going to be a new character through Galaxy of Heroes, which is really cool. Keller and Beck. Ahmad Best, we all know as Jar Jar Binks, and then also he's played face characters in Star Wars. We saw him in the the lounge on Coruscant when Anakin and Obi-Wan went to go chase Zam Wesell, and then obviously brought back in the Mandalorian as Keller and Beck, which is so cool to be able to see him. And now he's actually got a gaming character coming out for Galaxy of Heroes. So campaign to get his character. So I'll be probably working on that pretty soon. So pretty cool. So yeah, so a lot of fun. Ben just commenting on Survivor, basically saying working and trying to get 100% exploration. That's the one fun thing about some of those games is not only just beating them, but going back and trying to get every single percentage of the planets, which sometimes is hard. I don't know if I ever got 100% in Fallen Order before it got pulled from me because I had it on Stadia, but I know I got pretty close. I got at least 98% with that, but I could have maybe even gotten up to 99%. But it was so fun to be able to do that and try to get that 100% and just go through. And it's fun. It's amazing that the game continues to be fun when you're playing it, to just keep doing that. Because if it gets to be boring and you don't want to do it, but it was just so much fun to keep going through the levels and play again and again and again and again. But yeah, if you're a Galaxy of Heroes fan, on either your Apple or Android device, you can start this campaign for Keller and Beck, which basically was just kind of revealed. It just came out today, as far as being released as that. So our first look at that happened today. So yeah, so pretty cool to be able to have that. Um, yeah, so that was pretty awesome to be able to see that today on StarWars.com, and I'll definitely be trying to get that campaign to get that character. So Coloring back, Ahmad Best is amazing. We love Jar Jar. I have a soft spot for Jar Jar, right? All of us do. Anyway, and then going into a lot of publication stuff, High Republic. I've started on the High Republic. I keep saying this. I'm reading slowly but surely. I'm getting into the High Republic, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm really getting into these characters, and I want to just get caught up so fast because all this news that comes out with these characters, it just look amazing. And one of the coolest creatures that I can't wait to start reading about is the Nameless. And I know Phase 3 is going to get into a lot with the Nameless, and basically using the Nameless to basically fight a war against the Jedi. So like these cybernetically altered Nameless that are kind of being talked about, which is really cool, that are going to be discussed in some of the upcoming publications, or maybe some of the ones that are out now, which is really awesome. And then some characters that kind of go along with it that we are going to be hearing about soon, which are a couple other characters that are kind of behind the creation of some of these cybernetically altered Nameless. Was released a couple of concept art for some of these other characters as well, which is pretty cool because they kind of are like have these like Dr. Frankenstein Igor like feelings to them, which is pretty neat. So these other characters are Niv Drendow Apruk, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then Reek is the little guy, the little mouse-like guy, which looks pretty cool. But yeah, like I love the concept of some of these characters. I really hope that we start to see some of these High Republic characters when we get into that live action era. I hope we see some of these transfer onto the screen at some point. Not all of them, obviously, because there's just so much with the High Republic, but just some of these, and then maybe more later if it becomes a hit live action. If the Acolyte really does get to be a hit, which I hope it does. I hope it tells a great story. I really want to see more live action from the High Republic era. So where we maybe get to see some of these characters from the stories of the High Republic come on screen. So it would be really cool to be able to see. So that would be amazing. And then some other publishing things that have come out this week. Another thing that was actually, I think this was released today as well, another High Republic comic that is going to be coming out. I think it is this one. The High Republic Adventures, which is kind of geared towards younger people. It's a comic that's not as intense. But this is the #1 of Phase 3 of the High Republic Adventures, where we see a character that actually I don't know much about at all yet, which is Zine Rayla. If I'm pronouncing that right, but it's 1 year after the destruction of Starlight Beacon is when this takes place. So if you are a fan of this will be coming out soon. I believe it's arrives December 6th. Is when this comes out. So yeah, so it's another High Republic story to be told, and then some non-High Republic publishing works that have come out, which are pretty exciting. I like some of this other stuff that's been has been announced, and most of it's not going to come out until maybe next year or later next year. But I love this one because it's in conjunction with National Geographic as well. So it's kind of fun for kids and all Star Wars nerds. But it's Weird But True Star Wars. And it's in conjunction with National Geographic, as you can see from the cover there. And it's little known details from the saga. So 300 epic Facts from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. And that is coming August 6th of next year. Some of the really cool things, like, so for example, it has some like previews of some of the pages that are going to be in the book, and it's got really great photos, stills from the movies, and then kind of in really fun fonts on each page, a really cool fact about a certain character or a place or a vehicle or whatever. So for instance, for Yoda, it talks about the early idea for Yoda involved using a trained monkey instead of a puppet, which is, just hearing some of those facts is a lot of fun. And then it basically also gets into some of the fun facts with Darth Vader and his sounds, basically like that, as far as like how they got to get Vader's breathing sounds and so forth. So yeah, that might be a fun one to get with, if you have kids or no kids. It might just be one fun little coffee table book to have. And then another one that's coming out as well is kind of like an encyclopedia. If you're into the Star Wars visual encyclopedias, they got one for the Dawn of the Rebellion coming out. So, and this one comes out, let's see here. This one comes out December 5th. So this one actually comes out before the end of the year. But basically, yeah, we get a kind of a mix mash of essential referencing to Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Bad Batch, Star Wars Rebels, all these different stories that have been told in that Dawn of the Rebellion era. And we get a lot of cool behind the scenes of that. It has a really great star system map in there, kind of showing us where some of those planets that were involved in those series and movies are, which is really cool. That's always fun to have and look at, because you kind of know like distances of where people are. I'm big into that. I love geography in general. So like, kind of knowing where everything is in the Star Wars galaxy is really fun for me. I love that. It has some cross section areas. So if you're a cross section person, for instance, it goes into Luthen Rail's Fondor Hallcraft, and you get to see a little bit of his ship and a cut through of that. And then you kind of get a little cool insight in some of the House Organa, because we saw Leia and her kind of upbringing on Alderaan a little bit, and you get to see some ties to the Naboo traditions, which is pretty interesting. Some things that maybe you caught when you watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Maybe you didn't, but that's really cool. And like history of Ryloth and so forth. A little bit more on Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine when he was in exile. All sorts of cool, fun stuff. So if you're a fan of that and like visual encyclopedias, Dawn of Rebellion, December 5th, arrives December 5th. So you can pick that up. That is going to be something that's going to be pretty great. So I might have to get that one. And then last but certainly not least, and this one, I love how sometimes we get news about the Disney parks, but we only get it for like Disneyland. And then I'm like hoping, well, are we going to get it for here at Hollywood Studios? And when is that going to happen? Because they usually don't say everything. But so obviously this is Star Tours, right? And we remember at Star Wars Celebration this year, they announced that we were going to be getting new scenes for Star Tours, right? So they did put out an official announcement yesterday on StarWars.com that the Season of the Force will arrive at Disneyland Park in California next year. Again, there's things that get announced for Disneyland and don't get announced for Hollywood Studios. Just hurts me right here a little bit, but it will come in due time, hopefully. But honestly, just a little side point on that. We're planning a bigger vacation next year at some point, but if it doesn't go through and we don't get to go out of the country like we're planning, we're talking about going to Disneyland next year. So you know what? If it doesn't come to Disney World, we'll just go out there and see it at Disneyland. So yeah, Hyperspace Mountain is gonna come back. So if you've ever ridden Space Mountain, I thought it actually just was always Hyperspace Mountain now, because when we went out there for Celebration Anaheim, it was Hyperspace Mountain. I didn't realize that they put it back to Space Mountain. I just thought it was always Hyperspace Mountain, but apparently it's going to be transformed back into Hyperspace Mountain. So Hyperspace Mountain is coming back again. And then also they're going to have specially themed food and beverage, merchandise, and so much more running from April 5th to June the 2nd. So that is that. It doesn't say anything about what the new Star Tours adventures are going to be. And it didn't mention it in the paragraph, but it did in the headline. So, and it shows a picture of it. So I'm guessing that's also when the new Star Tours planets, or maybe one of them, is going to be added to Star Tours. Because we did get some talks about that. We still don't know which planets we're going to next, but we do know that it's possibly involving certain planets that we've seen in the live action series, like maybe Ahsoka, or maybe Mandalorian planets, or planets that we've seen in Book of Boba Fett, whatever, which isn't really much, but or maybe some planets from Andor, who knows. But we are going to get some new planets for Star Tours, and I'm guessing that that's going to be added as well. Yes, it does say that. I'm sorry, I didn't read far enough. It says, debuting during the celebration, guests can embark on new adventures aboard Star Tours. The adventures continue. And also, Galaxy's Edge will provide fresh perspective on the fireworks above Disneyland Park, with galactic music sweeping through the spires. So that's interesting. I've never been in Disneyland during the Disney Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland during the fireworks, so I don't know how much you can see from there. I know that you can see the fireworks from Batuu a little bit in East, so I don't know if they're going to do that as well. But that would be interesting. You can see the fireworks, so maybe they incorporate it in the story a little bit. Would be fun, and have some sort of music in a way, as far as like a celebration of some point of some sort, to kind of explain the fireworks. Who knows? It would be fun. But yeah. So yeah, April 5th through June 2nd of next year. I don't know if we're gonna get there then, though. That's the problem. With the Disney Wish Cruise in the beginning of the year, I just have this feeling that we're probably not going to get to Batuu West until maybe later in the year. But at least, if we don't get the Star Tours here in East by then, at least I'll get to go out there and see the new Star Tours stuff. And I'm sure, they have lots of new characters and everything. Just hearing the Star Wars music with fireworks would be awesome. Yeah. I agree. It's fun. It was fun at Star Cruiser every night, every 2 nights, to hear the Star Wars music as the finale with fireworks. I mean, that was great. I loved that. I loved like having like the fireworks, and just like the end music, the finale. It made it feel like the end of the movie. It was so much fun. Like every 2 nights, it was like the movie ended, which was like so emotional every time. I mean, I saw it so much, and every time it moved me. And yeah, just the fireworks with, they could even do that, because Batuu tells a story every day. And if like it's kind of like the closing of the day, they could kind of almost do that. So yeah. Oh no, you're kind of making me upset. Doubt it will make it out either. Hopefully it will become annual thing, or they will bring it to Batuu East. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking it'll be an annual thing. They did the Season of the Force like that theming season of the Force when they used to like kind of like go leading up to new movies, which I'm wondering if. So here's a prediction. If it's April 5th or June 2nd, do we think that's when Skeleton Crew is going to come out in June? Maybe they're going to kind of promote Skeleton Crew through this. I don't know. Yes, nothing compares to Star Cruiser. That is so true. That is so true. Nothing compares to Star Cruiser. We will always have a place for that. Also, sad news. I don't know if I know this has been everywhere, and I couldn't even walk back there today. I couldn't even walk back there. I didn't even want to see it today because they did close off the area where people were placing little trinkets and ribbons for the gate to the transports. I couldn't even walk back there. I walked all the way back to the back, but I didn't even want to look at it because I didn't want to get mad. That's weird. I didn't want to look at it because I thought it was so cool that so many people were putting up little like remembrance items there, and yeah, I didn't even want to look at it. I took my Ronto wrap and my Surly Sarlacc back there, and I couldn't even look around the corner. I couldn't even do it. I couldn't do it. Yeah, Skeleton Crew promotion would be really cool. I think it would be really cool. Yeah, I thought that sucked too. I was so upset that happened. I was really upset that happened. Yeah, what harm was it doing? I can't say anything bad because Disney's great. I love Disney. I love working for the company. I love everything they're doing with Star Wars, for the most part, except for getting rid of Star Cruiser. But yeah, I couldn't even look at it. Couldn't do it. Yeah, so that's about it, folks. I said we did a lot. I just talked about a lot tonight. In just that little time. I got some cool buttons today. I'm not gonna, talk about those, but I got like a lot of buttons today. I ordered like a crap load of buttons. I can't remember where I ordered them from. So when I get that, when I start making my jacket and I post like everywhere I got my stuff, I got like tons of buttons that I'm going to be putting on my jacket for Mos Eisley. Still waiting for my patches, and I'm still waiting for my jacket too. And I still want to get some more stuff to put on there before I go. But yeah, so I love the buttons that I got. A lot of them. I probably don't need any more buttons. But if I find some cool ones with some bands on it, got 2 of your patches in. That's cool. You haven't gotten my patches yet, but yeah. So I got some buttons. Can't wait for that. And can't wait for the jacket so I can start putting all that together and seeing if I need more stuff. And yeah, that's gonna be for Mos Eisley. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it. I think I'm probably going to end this. I actually was like falling asleep before I did this because it was a long day. Like I said, it was fun at Galaxy's Edge. I had a blast. Had some good times. Ran into some fun people. Yeah, it was great. But still a lot of Star Cruiser stuff available in Batu, in the stores on Hollywood Boulevard. A lot of SK droids and everything else. They did actually get more Life Day stuff in. So the Chewbacca Life Day figure was back on the shelves. Saw that. So if you wanted to get some Life Day stuff, they still have that. Some of that merchandise. But yeah, other than that, everything, that is about it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're about 50 minutes in, a little under an hour, but that's okay. That's okay. We can end a little bit early. Thank you for joining in. Ben, Amy, always good to hear from you. So really appreciate you guys joining in. It was fun talking. And I know we had another someone on for a little bit. So thank that person for joining in as well. Please please subscribe if you're watching this a little bit later. And until next week, please join me on Instagram. Watch my posts. Instagram page is The Crucial Crew Member. And until next time, remember, play some Star Wars, watch some Star Wars, listen to some Star Wars, read some Star Wars, do something Star Wars. But most importantly, remember, may the stars light your way. Have a great night. Great talking to you.